Today, I'm going to discuss some of the major economists of the world. You may have heard the names of some of them, but not of others. All these economists have been trying to understand the world and explain it to us. However, the world around us has changed continuously, and as the world changed, so did the ideas of economists. One extremely important change showed up in the 18th century. The world of customs, traditions, landlords, and peasants gave way to the world of trade, commerce, markets, factories, and workers. With industrial revolution, which happened in the second half of 18th century, the factory system spread in many countries of the world. A new social system called capitalism became dominant in many countries of the world. In this system, the people were divided between those who owned property and those who were propertyless. Those without property sold their labor in order to earn a living. In this society, production was undertaken primarily to earn profits. This new world of industrial capitalism saw enormous increase in wealth for a large number of people. After thousands of years of virtual stagnation, now the world was witnessing industrial innovations, new goods, coming up of cities, and massive growth. But it was also seeing enormous increase in inequalities amongst the people. This new world provided the inspiration to the thinkers of that period. Some of the most important thinkers of 18th and 19th centuries were Adam Smith, David Ricardo, and Karl Marx. These earliest economists were philosophers, historians, political scientists, and economists all rolled into one. Let's go to Adam Smith. Adam Smith, known as the father of economics, was born in Scotland. In 1776, he published his most important work, An Inquiry into the Nature and Causes of Wealth of Nations, also called Wealth of Nations. Adam Smith has had an extremely significant influence on modern economic thinking. Most economists, even till today, can trace their ideas to Wealth of Nations. The main theme in Adam Smith's theory is that although individuals act in their self-interest, but still this leads to harmony in the society. This is what Smith called the working of an invisible hand. Free functioning of markets ensured natural liberty and well-being for everyone in the society. Smith believed that capitalism was the highest stage of human civilization and the best possible economic system. This system encouraged division of labor and specialization among people. Another important theme in Smith's thinking was the recognition that society consisted of three social classes. The owners of land received rent, workers received wages, and capitalists earned profits. Adam Smith also presented ideas which were later developed into labor theory of value. According to this theory, production in any society is a result of human labor. Now let's go on to the next major economist, David Ricardo. David Ricardo was the son of a wealthy capitalist who had migrated to England from Scotland. Ricardo like his father, became very wealthy even before he turned 30 years of age. Like Adam Smith, Ricardo also exerted a powerful influence on the economists of both 19th century and 20th century. His most famous work is Principles of Political Economy and Taxation. According to Ricardo, the central problem for any society is how to divide the total production amongst landowners, capitalists, and workers. The landowners received rent, and David Ricardo is very well known for his theory of rent. Ricardo was also the first economist to show how free international trade could benefit two countries even when one country produced everything more efficiently than the other. This is known as the theory of comparative advantage in economics. Now, let us move on to Karl Marx. Very few thinkers in history have had an impact similar to that of Karl Marx. He is loved and hated in equal measure. A German philosopher, economist, and sociologist, Marx developed an integrated theory about nature of society, economics, and history. Marx is also regarded as a revolutionary whose ideas influenced many communist countries of the world. Author of many famous books, perhaps the most well-known is a 3-volume work called Das Kapital. In this and other works, Marx developed his analysis of capitalist society. Although Marx was deeply influenced by Smith and Ricardo, Marx refined some of their ideas, but he was also highly critical of their other ideas. According to Marx, human societies are always prone to change. These changes led to capitalism, and capitalist society is one society which keeps going through ups and downs. There are periods when the society almost collapses, and then there are periods when it recovers. Such periods of near collapse are called economic crises. These are like diseases of the system, and Marx believed that capitalism could not be cured of these diseases. The situation of the world in nearly 150 years since Marx had lived has sometimes led people to believe that Marxism has died. However, the recent economic crisis of 2008 has once again revived an interest in the ideas of Karl Marx. Now let us move slightly ahead in time. The society kept changing, and so did the economic thinking. The period from mid-1840s to 1873 was a period of rapid economic expansion throughout most of Europe. There was fast industrial growth, and it was accompanied by domination of very large business houses or corporations. Big banks and big corporations became very important. This was the period which gave rise to modern economic ideas called neoclassical economics. All neoclassical economists believe in the invisible hand of the market. Remember Adam Smith's invisible hand? All neoclassical economists also believe in the same ideas. These economists believe that all individuals are equal and exchange with each other freely in the market. The economists of this period introduced what is called marginalism in economic theory. This focused on calculation of marginal or additional effort or marginal or additional benefit by consumers and producers. An example of this is the principle of marginal utility. Now, because calculation was important, use of mathematics became extremely useful for this. With this change, economics became more and more mathematical. Two of the important economic thinkers of this period were Leo Walras and Alfred Marshall. Leo Walras is most well known for general economic equilibrium. This shows the relationship between different markets. He showed how forces of supply and demand in any one particular market depends on the situation in other markets. Walras emphasized on the use of mathematics in economic theory. Alfred Marshall was a mathematician turned economist. He taught economics at Cambridge University for a long time. His major work, Principles of Economics, published in 1890, became the dominant text in English-speaking universities. Marshall showed the relationship between decreasing marginal utility and demand. Marshall also believed that firms or businesses behave in a way very similar to the consumers. He developed what is called a theory of the firm. Let us move further now. The existing economic theories focused on self-adjustment of the markets. According to them, if the markets work freely, society would always be in harmony. Unfortunately, this was not to be. The world fell into a serious depression in the 1930s. What does this mean? The stock markets crashed, business people stopped producing, and millions of people were thrown out of jobs. Thousands of companies became bankrupt and huge number of people became unemployed. The Great Depression became one of the worst disasters of history. Now, the economists of that time needed to provide an explanation for this situation. However, the existing theory had no satisfactory understanding or explanation of the depression. It was in this context that an economist called John Maynard Keynes came up with an explanation. John Maynard Keynes published a book in 1936 called General Theory of Employment, Interest and Money. This virtually became a Bible for economists for the next 30 to 35 years. According to the theory put forward by Keynes, businessmen decide to produce something only when they are confident that it would be bought by people. If they are not confident, they do not produce. And if they do not produce, they would also not employ workers. This would result in closing of factories and in unemployment, both of which were seen during Depression. Keynes suggested that in such a situation, the government should start setting up factories and employing people. In this way, the society could be saved from depression. The ideas of Keynes started being adopted by governments of all major countries. Till 1965 to 1970, most of the countries followed the policies given by Keynes. These are also called Keynesian policies. However, happily ever after does not happen in the real world. The situation changed once again, and the ideas of Keynes became less useful. In 1970s, the world saw inflation along with unemployment, a situation described by economists as stagflation. Now, Keynesian economics could not provide a proper explanation for this. Once again, there was a change in economic ideas. Two of the very big economists of 20th century were Milton Friedman and Paul A. Samuelson. Milton Friedman is known as the father of monetarism. Monetarism, in simple terms, means giving a lot of importance to money and policies related to money. Amongst the economists of 20th century, he has been the strongest supporter of free markets. He received a Nobel Prize for Economics in 1976. His ideas have become the foundation for policies adopted by most countries after 1970. Most of the central banks of the world today follow the ideas given by Milton Friedman. Paul A. Samuelson was the most significant economist of the 20th century. Some people have even called him father of modern economics. He also received a Nobel Prize for Economics in 1970. Samuelson believed that mathematics is the natural language for economists. A book written by him, Economics: An Introductory Analysis, has been the best-selling economics textbooks of all times. Samuelson brought together the old ideas of neoclassical economists and the ideas of Keynes together. Thank you.